Lights are lit and there's sweat on your embrace. When everything I did, lights are lit and there's time to your embrace. Another dare.
What's up, dudes? Just so you know, this is going to be my first comic book review, which is also going to be known as the KILA review. Just so you know, I'm slightly better than the past few days. I had to talk to my landlord and this, that, the other, take a few things, still finalizing their arrangements for my mom's funeral. And so yeah, I'm doing okay. And like I said, feel free to hit that like, comment, and subscribe to this channel because it not only supports me myself, also the GoFundMe raiser for my mom is in the description down below. You could donate $1, 20, like $10, 20, 100, whichever helps is entirely up to you. So, but regardless, if you enjoy my content so far, please keep hitting that subscribe, comment, like. It will support myself. It will support my family and everything. I'm getting back into this, but anyway. So today we're going to be reviewing and talking about ISOM, the first and the second volume. Also, keep this in mind that when I give critiques and a criticism about the book is basically entirely my opinion. If you guys have different opinions, I would love to hear in the comment section. I would love to debate, and please don't hate me if I have something to complain or nitpick depending on the story, the artwork, and the direction, especially with the character development. All right, so let's get to it. For the first book of ISOM, right here. This is like the first edition, probably the best cover art for that first book of ISOM. I always managed to get it before it was sold out. So you have Avery, who is a retired superhero basically, and he goes his way to like just basically like mind his own business, try to have a normal life. And also, he has. Where first off, you have his sister, who goes by the name of Alatona, who is Avery's sister. So basically, Alatona reached out to Avery to try to convince him into the whereabouts of her friend, her name is Jasmine, and for some reason, she was reason to believe that her friend Jasmine was being held up against her will by Darren, who used to be a childhood friend of Avery. So at first he kind of refused, but he goes like, you know what? Fine, I'll do you this favor. And but just so you guys know, when Avery took upon this quest to do this favor for his own sister, his life kind of changed and went upside down and got more of what he bargained for. So later on, in the comics, they even show of a blonde woman who started to cause a ruckus. Only to introduce a group of superhuman police known as the Alpha Corps. And also, before I continue the story, these beings with superpowers in this Rippaverse comic universe, they identify themselves as Excepts, beings with powers, basically. Just like how DC Comics, you have these humans with powers called metahumans, and in Marvel, you have these people who are born with these weird powers and side effects are mutants, just straight up mutants. So, back to the story. So Avery tries to have a meeting with Darren, but then when he asks Darren about if Jasmine is okay, do I need to worry about anything about her? Darren decides to have Avery to have a little so-called sit down conversation, and give this his little backstory how he and him used to be tight since they were in high school and that the other. Basically, whatever he just said to him was literally irrelevant to the point that what Avery was there in the first place. But then after he gave a little speech, he literally low key was trying to tell Avery, "You're my man's. You and me are tight and all, but this ain't your damn business. You go tell Jasmine's mom that she's my concern. She's not her concern, and she I." And then Avery kind of took that disrespectful and thinking that he's going to just go lie to her mom because he said so. So then not only he got so disrespect, he goes like, okay, first of all, who the hell you think you're talking to like that? And also, I'm not gonna lie for her because what you told me to. So Darren decided to pull the bitch move and decided to have one of his 6 foot tall blonde with the like goatee, and decides to command him to throw him off the club. Little did he know that he got his ass like handed to him when he literally grabbed his fist, crouched him down, then knocked his ass out. And he did. And honestly, what I like about this fight scene, he did some pretty hard like haymakers on a couple of his boys. But honestly, after seeing what Avery is capable of, those hooks could literally kill a noble human being. And that's when a except for hire, who is supposed to be Darren's bodyguard, who goes by the name of Antoine. Antoine is he's considered to be the Rippaverse comics version of Luke Cage, except he's a dickhead. And he was able to overpower Avery by throwing some flu blows in, but Avery managed to do a sweep kick in his face, but didn't do anything. So Antoine knocked him out cold, and then throw him. He literally threw his ass up in midair, saying, "Get him all out of here." So later in the comics, it was hard to speculate how hard he threw him, to the point that he actually bumped into Yara, who is actually one of the main female protagonists in the Rippaverse comics series. So stupidly, this is the part that make no sense to me. They start when they notice each other after they crash to each other mid-air. They start fighting each other, blocking each other's attacks, and because Avery thought she was working with Darren, and she thought that Avery was working for the Alpha Corps. I'm like, but why would they? They look different, and like, why would they start attacking each other instead of just? That part didn't make no sense to me. And then if you once I show you this right here, when they're busy like fighting and talking, you could notice how she used her why soon to be her slight super speed to run up on Avery and grab him by the throat. See, what I don't like about that type of art, sorry, I can't speak. Basically, you can't even tell if she's basically just running up to him, or can't even tell if she's like fast than the wind itself. It gives all kind of vibe, like if she's using her super speed, or she's just basically just running like basically jogging up to him and grab him by the throat, which Avery could at least anticipated this move. So basically, she grabbed him by the throat and flew him to midair, and then she literally basically just dropped him in midair like a total bitch, and he literally crash landed into a car, causing him to pass out. And as before he fell down to the car, he specifically said that he was capable of doing many things that no ordinary human can do, but flying literally is one of his traits. So also, before I continue, I like to predict what characters, heroes, or villains, or side characters' abilities are before I could explain them in my reviews. Anyway, so obviously he has superhuman agility, superhuman reflex, endurance, superhuman strength, and he also is incredibly durable, meaning that he can survive in mid-air and crash into a car. So, later on in the comic, he healed miraculously, which I assume he has accelerating healing. He was able to he was able to check himself out from the hospital, only to leave himself half naked, and then he decided to get up his stuff to go for a round 2 back to the nightclub where Darren and Antoine kicked them out. But before he went back to the nightclub, he ran into a unexpected phase, which is Jasmine, the woman that he's been sent by his sister to go find in the first place. She was shocked to see him, but she didn't want to tell him how he really feels where she has her soul grabbed onto Darren. But by Darren, I mean, sorry. He later just asked her, "Look, Jasmine, is what you're doing right now intentionally, voluntarily, or if not, then you gotta give me something so I can put this man down." He didn't exactly say those words, but that's basically what he's asking her, to see if she's doing this willingly. She didn't say nothing. She was very hesitant, and that proves to me that she's definitely she can't escape. Like if she said she was fine, she would have just said it. But no, she didn't. She didn't say nothing, which is kind of dumb. But at the same time, I understand why she's going through. But she could at least just trust Avery to go save her. And then when the two goons noticed that one of these dumbasses decided to first instinct, just to put his hands on her and tell, "Yo, mind your business. They'll be talking to our ladies while they at work. You hear me?" So, what I like about the realism of this that panel is Avery reacted, and he didn't even attack first. He asked him this. I'll quote. Hold on. So he says this: "Why is putting your hands on someone so aggressively your first instinct?" That is so real, because that's like the realism we have in these days. Because when someone like is just minding their own business or doing something, you have these idiots decide the first instinct, instead of thinking rationally, is to put their hands on the people they don't know is their first thing they could do. But it's kind of funny though. But yeah, but so once again they started to recognize him, but then and challenge him to get up on out of here. Honestly, they fucked up that one up. But he basically just grabbed his arm by removing his hand that is grabbed on his shoulder, and then grabs his head and then did the slam on the concrete floor, which it could literally kill him. It didn't show him afterwards, but that honestly potentially would have killed a normal person. And this guy, his partner, for some odd reason, did not see what he was capable of doing, decided to do a sneak attack, and then his ass got his ass handed to him. So he went back to the club, told people to get the hell out, but they didn't listen. They decided to attack him, and they got their ass handed to one by one. So they decided they had no choice but to contact Antoine to face him again. So once Antoine confronted him again, they started to have the second fight out in the backyard, and they did quite a little few hands-on type of way. But here's this one problem I would like to address, especially this is kind of a lazy drawing. If you notice this, you begin to see how those two begin to collide, like they're about to do some powerful impact of their attacks. But if you go over here, you see these two back off away from each other, like something have happened. But it showed none of that. Like how you jump in midair and then go back away. Like did they got pushed by, knock each other out by the wind? Like that's the only lazy part that I have in that part during the fight scene. and this fight was kind of really short. I'm just gonna say that. So Antoine did kind of give a few hits on Avery. So this is the part that I kind of like that concluded this fight, which, like I said, this could have been longer. But Avery decides to run up in the wall, right? And then when he grabbed onto the brick wall, he did a powerful leap and pounced off the wall, and then you ram his entire body in midair against Antoine, crashing Antoine through the other side of the brick wall into the street, and he'd been knocked out for the count, which brings Avery a victory to the rematch fight. So, basically, you know, that was pretty much it, and then, you know, he went up meeting up to his sister's apartment and have some little heart-to-heart moment with his niece, who she dreamed of him and look him up as her own superhero. So then they even showed back Darren again, who felt butthurt because he got bailed by freaking Avery, who secretly manhandled Antoine for the second round, and then he would try to say, you know what, I'm gonna get that motherfucker and his sister. Bet on that. Like I said, he didn't say those words. I'm just making this shit as I go. So, he met with this old friend of his who is also responsible of designing his suit. And after that's done, Eric July, the founder and creator of Reverse Comics, introduced a rock band who I believe who I assume to be also a group of accepts, who goes by the name of Norfolka, which is kind of genius right there. Like, I'm not sure they're actually from Africa. I don't know the whole context with that name idea, but Norfolka, that's pretty genius. Anyway, now ISOM number 2. In my opinion, this cover is actually cover B or C. I don't remember correctly, but this is actually the best cover art for Volume 2 of ISOM. So this picks up the in the following volume where his sister has paid a visit from Darren just to, you know, threaten and also brutally beat her down to the death. And so she was shocked to see him, and then before she reacted, she was like he basically was trying to like break her spirit and try to scare her off. Like he goes like, so how's the Vessi? Oh, just so you know, Vessi is actually the daughter of Avery's sister, who looks up to Avery as his superhero, as her superhero. I'm sorry. So when he was like slapping her around, which is kind of hard to view. Then you have who is supposed to be the CEO of the Projexis founder. He goes by the name of Leakin. 1 second, let me. Yeah, his I can't pronounce his last name. Is Sibo. Okay, Leakin is Sibo. He's the founder of the Pronexus project, or founder, whatever. So he saves her, confronts Darren for putting his hands on his lovable employees, and then kicks him and his goons out of her office. But later on in the comics, he has what is a trusty assistant who looks like a rip-off version of Agent Smith from The Matrix, but terrible at his job of convincing Lincoln. Before I get to that, he had a little garage parking lot meeting with some unknown woman, some blonde woman, who I honestly believe it was actually Yara, because again, Yara is one of the main characters of the Ripperverse, and I don't know what her power is, but I do know that she has super speed, flight, and super strength. Probably stronger than Avery, for what I could tell. Uh, so they had the little meeting. She walked away with the sinister look on her face. Honestly, I can't even tell if Yara is actually a bad guy from the first volume and the second volume of ISOM, the way she presumed to be. But especially from looking at the live action trailer, I can't even tell if she's actually a good guy. But anyway, back to the story. So when Lincoln was trying to drive his way back home with his agent, he was like saying, "Look, you're too relaxed. You're getting way too comfortable." Like he like Lincoln basically wanted him to just be honest with him, basically, and he was right. And he goes like, "You're too respectable, Lincoln. I'll deal with that." Then I don't know where you have one of Darren's goons driving a truck, saying, "Oh, my boss sends his regards." Starts praying on Lincoln's vehicle, but surprisingly, he was quite prepared. He actually had his whole entire car bulletproof, but he has some shield protection on it. So unexpectedly, his agent winds up portraying him, telling him about, "Not this. This is nothing personal, it's just business." And I heard that line all the time. So then Lincoln didn't hesitate. He took action, elbowed him to the face like some Jackie Chan and shit, and he basically deactivate the shield, which was really protecting the car from barrage of bullets from earlier. And then he basically ran himself through the windshield after putting the car to accelerate. Back to ISOM. Early in the comic of ISOM number 2, ISOM gives a little backstory of the reason why he retired as a hero of ISOM. He met a supervillain who goes by the name of Chadran, which honestly is kind of a terrible name. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of hate this type of artwork they did with him, or any of this artwork, which I'm gonna explain why. Especially so anyway, I'm just gonna move on. He ran into him, but from what I could tell, that spec was so focused on this woman who's cosplaying some kind of hero, and her friend figured that out as well, because he said that villain looks so familiar, the same way he's familiar of the way she dressed, was kind of hinting that Chat ran that spec that ISOM fought is probably also an adversary of the hero that girl's cosplaying. But anyway, ISOM tried to throw a few punches into the big dude, but it's like he's made of concrete that his hand starts to hurt, and his hits have no effect on this big guy. He tried to stop him for chasing it out for getting her, but he just being slapped around, thrown around, and he was completely powerless. He couldn't save her. So he was also speaking some kind of language that wasn't English, and for what I thought he was speaking some kind of African language, because when I did some Google Translate, he literally just says basically umbalar, like umbalar. When I looked that up, it literally just says Oku Baylor or Oku something. But then when I go to the other page, he said other two words, Olamang or Shedre. And I tried looking it up. There's no translation with those two words. So my thing is, it could be a different language that I'm not aware of, or it could be something that it was just completely made up that the system can't translate. So that's the only thing I could get at. But at the end of that flashback, it was predicted that a little girl was killed by that spec that ISOM couldn't save or could stop. So it went back to him having a talk with his friend who was responsible for designing his suit, He explains that he couldn't do anything. He was no match for that egg set, and that's why he would retire to go work in the ranch. Later in the series, I'm gonna keep this short so that way I could make a critique. Um, Later on in the series, he encountered some supernatural beings, which I like to call them demonic monkeys. Infiltrated his house and tried to ambush ISOM. And they managed to burn him slightly a bit, but then he managed to like beat them up, and they teleport their asses out. There was some kind of flame jutsu teleportation, whatever, and mostly half of the barn was like burned to crisp. So he got approached by one of the one missing person's wife to ask her for help, and ISOM took her along with him to go visit one of the main characters of the Whippers comics. He goes by the name of Gooding, also known as Goodling, the Polymath, who's supposed to be Rippaverse Comics Tony Stark, basically. And the reason why I say that because when ISOM and this woman visited his mansion, he was stopped by his machine guards, asking them to step out of the vehicle. I'll take care of this car for you. And they basically just used their jetpacks and seats to transport them both into Goodling's facility. So I also filmed in what was going on, and there's too many missing people, and he'd be seeing these creatures a lot lately. He explains what they could possibly be, or where their first appearance was during the war, and he asked ISOM to go visit Blood Roof, so she could help you to find out what's really going on and where these demonic monkeys come from. He goes to he gave him the coordinates. He went to this the place to find where they're located. First, ISOM ran into a few creatures, one dragon and a few demonic hellhounds, and they had to wrestle with him a little bit until he finally meets Bloodroof. So Bloodroof is a black bloodbender with some mystical arcane practices, who she can manipulate. She could bloodbend and also has a scent of pyrokinesis. Like, for example, when she uses her blood that shoots out her fingers, her blood circles around you, and then she could just ignite it in an instant, which is kind of cool, which I'm gonna explain. So they talk about oh, why are you here, or I'm gonna get you killed. And he explains, and then they start working together to find the missing hideout to where these demonic monkeys come from. And they basically had to fight tooth and nail inside their location, because there was a horde of them, like thousands, like something that they have never seen before. But the two managed to find the like some kind of cell where they keep the human prisoners. But ISOM had to tell Bloodwolf, listen, you go free the prisoners, I'll take care of this. Because they were surrounded by like hundreds, probably thousands or more. And every decided to go Leroy Jenkins up there and start boom, boom, boom. Yo, come on, these hands, boom, boom. And he was just surrounded, right? I'm going to show you a good example. So over here, you see how he's getting dogpiled, right? He's basically getting pumped, like getting sit on, and then he has to start throwing hands, like way better than Mark from Invincible, who is getting dogpiled by different dimensions of the Moral Brothers. If I say his name correctly, I'm just terrible at it. But once they get to the cave to rescue the missing prisoner, look how many of them. There's like a freaking horde, and there's no telling how many of them are in the cave. And he basically was telling Bloodroot to go do your thing. I'm gonna single-handed them. Look at this shit. My man has been fighting tooth and nail like a badass, and he did such a great job, like throwing hands. And she goes to the cell, she finds out most of all these dead bodies lying everywhere. And there was one survivor that I assumed to be the wife's missing boyfriend or husband or whatever. And he explained to her that they were dead long before he was brought in. He was kind of felt weak, but he was able to stand on his own 2 feet to escape Blood Roof. So once again, they had to battle the way out of it. There's also this cool scene where Blood Roof used her blood blending powers to use her blood for her and him to stand on top of blood and start gliding the way through like they from Static Shock, and they managed to, but fell down, and they still getting jumped by some of the demonic monkeys. Every other hand, he was just doing his thing, and then some of them were exploded. I can't even tell if some of them exploded by Blood Roof or they just let themselves on fire, and then Avery managed to run away. And keep this in mind, they show nothing that happened to Avery after that. They show nothing. The only cliffhanger they had for ISO number 2 is when they introduced this demonic monkey's leader, who would soon to be the one in charge, who specifically told his servants that they underestimated this human. And this is probably one of the antagonists that Avery and the other heroes might have to go up against. Yeah, it's pretty badass, but I would like to know what that creature's name is, and I want to know more about the origins of these creatures, which we might get into that. Now, here's what I like. I like the story. I like the characters. I like the directions on where it is going. And I like how it's trying to give Avery a background story, a character development, how he became to be. The characters I like to know more, that I feel is more interesting, is 3 characters. Yaira, Blood Roof, and Goodling. Which, lucky for us, that Yaira and Blood Roof are both having their own standalone comics that's going to be written by the Soroka sisters. And also another thing, I'm also going to be reviewing the Alpha Core later in the video, so I'll get to it in that. So another thing, yeah, so I like the character development and everything else, but the only thing I will have to critique is the art. I am not a fan of this artwork, okay? Like, I don't like the style of it, and it just throws me off. And especially how the way some of the characters look and the design, giving their facial expression, the way how the drawing was. But however, it did not throw me away from the story and reading it. See, that's the most important thing to me, is the artwork. When you have the artwork, it draws people in. But as long as you have great story, it brings you into more in, And the only thing I didn't like is the cliffhanger in the second book, when they show the demonic leader, except to show what happens after that. There's literally nothing happening. It only shows like a sketch art of both Alpha Core and Yaira. So I'm gonna give it 2 separate ratings: the ratings for the artwork and the rating for the book in general. So the artwork, I'm gonna have to give it a 3 out of 10. So just so you know, because I'm praying to Eric to be considerate of having a different artist to do a sequel to make a 3rd installment of ISOM. If not, that's definitely all him. It's his decision, not me. I'm just really not a fan of this artwork. I'm sorry. As for the story for ISOM number 1 and ISOM number 2, I'm gonna give them both 5 out of 5, which I consider to be myself a legendary rating for good story. And especially this is the first time Eric July, who this first time he ever wrote any books in general, where he's technically also a writer, but because he used to write his own songs where he used to be in the band. But as his first time writing a comic book, I say good job. There is a plot, there is a direction. I just want them to carefully, you know, go into the right direction. And for the fight scene, the fights in the first book was could have done better. I was gonna give but I was it almost deduct the point for that, but it improved it later on, and especially the second book, the combat. They actually improved the way he was going ham against those demonic monkeys. If I'm not mistaken, Gooding did give them a name of their race, but I couldn't really pronounce. Couldn't really like honestly pronounce it. Which I go back. Yeah, they only said that they were missing. They based it from like caused by the earthquake on Mississippi, and they didn't really give them like 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 an actual like race of their names. Which honestly, I like to know more about these creatures. He probably did say it. I probably don't remember, but I'm gonna probably go look through it. But anyway, these books are great, and I just hope the artist that Eric hires is better, and I'm looking forward to the next installment. And if you guys want, do I recommend these comic books to y'all? Absolutely. All you have to do is go to ripperversecomics.com, and you just go straight to the store and you can order the copies from there. Unfortunately, they don't have this art cover or this cover at the store because they were part of the campaign. So make sure, but they still have the first and second volumes as well. I really recommend you getting these comics. Highly recommend it. And also, if you like this video, please should like, comment, subscribe, and give me your thoughts about this comic. And see you guys in the next video. Have a good one, guys.